Hey guys, happy Sunday and happy blue micro moon. So we're not going to have another one of those until, was it 2053 or 54? We can be a little bit older by then. And so basically micro moon, it just means that the moon is at its farthest distance from the earth right now, but it's blue moon and that this is our second full moon in the month of May. And tomorrow starts June 1st. Getting ready for June. I'm so excited. But hey, before we dive into all of that, if you don't know who I am Tara with the Savage Wild. You can learn a little bit more about me by going down to that description box down below and clicking on the website, thesavagewild.com. Or maybe looking for ways to help support the channel, maybe through Patreon at the Savage Wild, or maybe through YouTube members. Lots of good stuff there and lots of good stuff coming out on the beginning of the month. So all those different tiers on Patreon, my YouTube members, all that stuff is coming out. And my newsletter. So you could sign up for the newsletter. It's got all kinds of stuff from Herbal Ally of the Month, Animal Medicine of the Month, tea blend that I've created, arts and crafts, DIYs, music, indie artists, all kinds of stuff. So if you're interested in that, the link for signing up for the newsletter is down below. And don't worry, I don't play the spam game. All you get is a newsletter on the first of every month. But I mean, all you get. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in that newsletter, but you catch my drift. So yeah, definitely check it out. And okay, well, in honor of the blue moon, we are going to be making a blue moon milk tea. And actually, I was going to create something that was maybe blue moon-esque, as we go into my birth month, which is June. My little brother's birthday is actually coming up in just a few days. Can't believe my baby brother is going to be 39. I'm like, what? That's crazy. I remember the day that he was born. Actually, I remember my mom being pregnant with him. I remember he used to have this like little Superman onesie with like a little snap on, snap off cape, depending on whatever. And I used to like pick him up and fly him around. And he used to have this little mullet for the longest time because my mom didn't want to cut off his curls. My dad was like, I don't want him looking like a little girl because everybody thought my brother was a girl. They thought I was a little boy and then my brother was a little girl. Because I had short hair and he had this long curly hair. So my dad cut it short in the front, but he had this like long curly hair in the back. So yeah, he had himself a nice little mullet till he was about 4 years old. But anyway, I used to fly him around in his little Superman outfit. That was like his favorite. And sometimes I would fly him too much to the point where he would throw up, especially if it was just after feeding time. And then my mom's like, guess who gets to clean it up? I'm like, dude. But yeah, anyway, that little boy is going to be 39 on the 4th. And then a few days after that, on the 7th, it would have been my Nana's birthday. She was born in 1921. So yeah, if she were alive, she'd be celebrating that birthday. But of course, I'm going to do a little honoring for my grandma then, or my Nana. My grandmother, actually, my maternal grandmother, her birthday is near the end of the month. And then my stepmother, her birthday is on the 20th. One of my good friends, his birthday is on my birthday. And also if my father's father were alive, my grandfather, my Lalo, his birthday is also on the 10th, except it would be June 10th, 1900. So if he were alive, he'd be 126 years old. Hey, I mean, it could happen. Hey, Lilith is here. It says, must check all is in order for the newsletter. Okay, so yeah, I will definitely check all that out. But yeah, okay, so I put out a poll on Thursday asking you guys, what would you like to see during today's live chat? And through all of the various topics, you guys chose to have blue moon milk tea. So that's what I'm going to be making here today. It's actually pretty simple to make, and there isn't a set recipe for it. I mean, really all it really needs is milk and butterfly pea flour. And then whatever little extras you put in there, that's kind of up to you. So I'm going to put my little pizzazz on this tea. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy it too. All right. So today I've I've kind of been in the kitchen nonstop today. It's like I should just, make this part my second home. But I made sourdough pancakes. I've never made those, but I had my sourdough starter, who I've named Audrey too. Yes, after Little Shop of Horrors. But yeah, Audrey too was sitting out because last night I was prepping a couple of loaves of sourdough bread so that I could bake it today. I wanted it to like sit overnight in the fridge and really get all nice and sourdoughy goodness and tangy. So I had the starter sitting out and I was like, well, why not make some pancakes? Turns out everybody absolutely loved them. I really liked them too. They were probably the best pancakes I've ever had. And I'm like, wow, good job, me. And what was cool too is you can freeze those pancakes, which I did. We had 3 leftover pancakes. I wasn't about to feed them to Oscar, who is the name of my compost pile. I mean, I don't mind giving compost to our compost pile, but those pancakes, maybe we should eat them. So I put them in the freezer, and I guess you could just like warm them back up in the microwave, or you can do them Eggo waffle style and actually throw them in the toasters when you're actually ready to have them. So cool beans. You guys will get to see my bread in a moment, but yeah, let's dive in and make this blue moon milk tea. All right, Lola says, no, I mean, I'll go check, make sure it will be sent out. Well, thank you, my friend. By the way, you guys, if you didn't know, Lola Phoenix is the bomb diggity. I just needed to say that. Okay, because she is. All right, so you guys are going to need a little saucepan, and you're going to need your milk of choice. I would have a different milk, but man, they were all out of all the milks. All they had left was like these little half-gallon 2% milks. I'm like, okie dokie. So you work with what you got, and I don't mind it. So I'm also going to use some maple syrup for sweetener, although I was conflicted. I was like, maple syrup or honey? But I kind of still have the maple syrup on my tongue from the pancakes. So I'm like, okay, we're going maple syrup. I mean, I could have gone local honey, and if you're suffering from allergies or whatever, that'd probably be helpful. I also have in here some vanilla bean. I'm going to toss that in. Toss in a little bit of cardamom. I'm going to toss in a cinnamon stick. And, of course, the piece de resistance, butterfly pea flower. Lilith is like, I'm explosive. Yes. Okay, let's see. I am going to turn this to a low heat because you don't want to burn your milk. That's no bueno. So I turned it to like 3. That's not even, it's not too hot. And I think it's going to be okay for our milk. So I'm going to put in a couple of cups of milk, knowing that, as things warm up, it kind of, little bits of milk burn off. But like we said, we're not trying to scorch it. We're not scorched earthing this. Not like I did my Dutch oven earlier today. The sourdough bread. I'm so glad I used the Dutch oven. But yeah, if you guys are going to make sourdough, make sure it's a Dutch oven that is black so it doesn't look like scorched earth. And the one that I have, I took a picture for one of my neighbors because she's back down in the valley right now. And I was like, yeah, I said my Dutch oven's from like the late 1800s. I literally got it for $10 at the antique store. It's a big ass cast iron Dutch oven. I'll show you guys when we head out to the living room. But it's got the cool lipped lid so that, while you're making your stew or whatever, in the pot portion, on the lid, you could be warming up some potatoes, baked potatoes, have them wrapped in foil, or some corn on the cob. Dude, I used to make so much over the campfire at my property when I didn't really want to use propane. We have to conserve on electricity and propane because I'm off grid. And I didn't mind being outside when it was a little bit warmer out and having a nice campfire, or even when it was cold. I mean, when it was snowing, I was still outside having a campfire. Okay, so I put in 2 cups of milk. It depends on you. Like if you're like, nah, I'll just have like a cup. I have small teacups. That's totally up to you. I'm gonna put maybe a couple of big helpings of butterfly pea flour. And I'm going to talk about butterfly pea flour as our herbal ally of the week. And you know what? I couldn't find anything about butterfly pea flour in any of my herbal books. And I was like, I know there's stuff out there. So I had to do a little bit other research outside of my library to learn about butterfly pea flour, because I knew a little bit, but I wanted to get all the deets so I could share it with you guys. Okay, I'm going to go with 1 cinnamon stick. That should be enough. And since this is powdered cardamom and not the actual pods, I'm just going to put a little, like maybe an 1/8 of a teaspoon. Just, that may have even been too much, but that's okay. All right, and then now we're going to stick in vanilla bean. Okay, I'm just going to chop this vanilla bean up. Boop. Voila. Shapeshifter says, I saw milk tea and I clicked immediately. Also, it's 2:29 in the morning and I can't sleep. I'm sure that has nothing to do with my addiction for tea. Well, hey, you know what? One of the properties of butterfly pea flour, which is what makes the blue milk tea, has calming, reduces the brain activity from being all over the place, reduces anxiety. So actually, this is something people would make before bed. Now, I'm adding the cardamom and cinnamon to give it a little bit of fire in our belly and to speed up our metabolism and all that good stuff, helping to reduce inflammation. But that might actually keep people up. But if you just had the butterfly pea flour in the milk, I think it would help your insomnia at the moment. Okay, let me make some room up here. Okay, let me put my milk away. Oh wait, no. I want to keep some milk because I want to froth some milk. So maybe like 1/2 cup. Maybe I should have done less, but that's cool. Bob Ross taught us there's only happy little accidents. Okay. And then I'm gonna put just a little bloop of maple syrup. Okay, I'm gonna turn this down to a 1 right now. Ooh. And just doing a little stir. Lila says, where in the world is 2 a.m.? Shapeshifter said India. And Lila said, that makes sense. Yes. And guess what? Butterfly pea flour is part of Ayurveda, used near equatorial Asia, or at least that's where it's commonly found. Of course, it can be found all over the world now. Lila says, what would we do without Shapeshifter here, though? I know, right? Lila says he's only allowed to make this milk in 3 hours. Okay, let's just move that out of the way. My bread smells good. I can't wait to show you guys the bread. Nah, I'll leave that out just in case I need to add a little bit more sweetener. In the meantime, I'm going to warm up my milk just a tad to make it better for the frothage. But you can see it's starting to turn that beautiful blue color. And for those of you just joining us, yes, hello and happy blue micro moon. I wonder if they have micro machines on the micro moon. Is the micro machine man there? I remember when I was little and everybody was collecting micro machines. I mean, people still had like Hot Wheels and all of that, but we wanted micro machines. I had a few, but my mom would keep them as cake decorations for like my dad's cake and stuff. Mm-hmm. Melissa's, what makes the moon micro? Microsoft 3.0. Shapeshifter says, good to say Ayurvedic tea. I live in India and don't even know how Ayurvedic tea is even made. Most of us just buy tea from the store, put it in hot water, and call it a day. Well, we're going to be kind of fancy here today. Micro moon, well, I guess it has nothing to do with, well, other capabilities, but micro just meaning furthest distance from the Earth. So it's like the smallest, like, moon, full moon that we've seen. It's just a bitty moon. He'll grow up and be a big moon someday. Okay, let's see if I can froth this. Okay, well, I'm going to work on frothing this. Well, ooh, yeah, that's getting frothy. Hey, baby. You guys get as frothy as you want. I'm going to continue letting this steep. I think I'm just going to keep it on a 1. You know, I want it to get nice and blue. And I want to infuse the bits of tea. Good thing I got myself a napkin. People like to make messies. So yeah, today I've made sourdough pancakes. I made some sourdough bread. I'm actually going to cut up that bread, and we can have that with our tea. If you're wondering what that sound is, that's me frothing. I'm frothing at the mouth, man. I got the rabies. Ooh, that's getting frothy good. You go, milk. Okay. You can see that's getting nice and frothy. It's almost the sound that you hear at a dental office. Okay. I'm going to let this froth milk just kind of chillax. I also got one of my cool clear glasses so that you guys can actually see the blue moon milk tea. And this actually came from my friend Laura. So thank you, thank you. I love that. Let's see. Hey, Siren is here. It says, hey guys, made it. Hello, hello. This is hard to believe tomorrow's June. I know, that's crazy. Shapeshifter says, Siren, that's a scary thought where I live. Costalini's here. He said, yum. Lila says, in case you wonder. And then Shapeshifter was letting Siren know, I live in the worst country to live in during summer, India. Oh, that's right. Yeah, there's like a certain like second summer, I think, that comes again like in the fall. But we have that in San Diego once in a while, and every once in a while we have it here too. And Siren said, oh, India sounds nice. But yeah, I can imagine. Shapeshifters is not during the summer. No. Well, I guess it's like if you live down in the valley in Arizona, maybe summer's not where you want to be. Not then. I just keep intermittently frothing my tea. I just find it so pleasing. If you guys are like wondering what the heck is going on over there. Okay. I digress. Let me turn this up to it to continue swirling this around. Let those beautiful pea flowers do what they do. Infuse, my friends, infuse. Ooh, you guys can even see it's starting to turn blue on camera. Shapeshifter says, yes, this time I read that the 50 hottest cities in the world are all in this country. Huh. Siren says, sorry I missed last week. One of the residents, had passed away. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, sending you guys all bunches of prayers over there. But yeah, India, I haven't ever visited, but I do hear it can get rather toasty. Well, parts of it, parts of India. Okay, let me grab a cutting board and I'm gonna chop into this bread because we have to. I'll bring you guys over in just a second. Looking for a bread cutter. Nope, that's not it. Oh gosh. We had a bread cutter down there. Maybe our bread cutter moved. Don't mind me, guys. I'm just looking for a good bread cutter. No, there was a different one. Okay.
See?
Okay. All right.
Serrated.
Yeah. Well, I thought there was a better one somewhere. Okay. Well, while that's doing what it do, I'll turn it down a little bit again. Let's head over here. Hi, guys. Siren said, thank you. Shapeshifter says, yep. Hope I live to see the winter. Don't get too toasty. Stay cool. Siren says, your dress reminds me of mom, black with floral patterns. Aw, I was feeling the flowers today. You know, we're getting close to June and all the June babies. Well, so earlier this week I had made, I call them my pantry cookies because it's whatever was in the pantry. So it was like, I was like, okay, I want to make chocolate cookies. So I got cacao, and then I got dark chocolate chips, semi-chocolate chips, and like some chocolate covered graham crackers, and I like crushed them all up and just kind of put them in the cookies, and it came out pretty good. Okay, so this is one of my sourdoughs that I made today. Look how pretty sourdough. Okay, we're gonna do a little slicey. Ooh. And in case other people in this household would like some bread, I'll cut them off a piece too. I got it nice and crusty on the outside. Yay! Oh my goodness. It looks good on the insides. Yay! Okay. I'm gonna have a little butter with my bread. If other personages would like some butter bread, they can come out and get some too. Ooh, I need to put some more butter in this little butter dish. Let's do that. Okay. Get my little knife. Siren says, have you been keeping up with my weekly posts from the life makeover game? I haven't really been spending too much time on social media. I've been trying to uh, keep my eyes away from blue light as much as possible. So I've been trying just to maybe post a couple of things quickly and answer a few text messages from people, but I've mostly just been outdoors, working my compost and my garden and making stuff and getting ready for all the people that are visiting in the month of June. Lola says that bread looks yummy. Shapeshifter says that actually looks good. Hoon the Wanderer says beautiful tea. Siren says, oh, got it. It's okay. So yeah, we are going to have a bunch of people visiting in June. So hopefully my best friends and maybe my godsons will be coming to visit. They said either they're going to be visiting the weekend of my birthday or the last weekend of the month. My parents are coming to visit the weekend of Father's Day, which also coincides with my stepmom's birthday. So, yeah, might have some other family coming in too. So, lots of homies. Okay, I gotta try this bread. And if Riley wants the bread, he gotta come out for it. Mmm. Mmm. That's very good. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Where are you going? What are you doing? Honey, that's my piece. It's so goofy. It's good bread though. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll bring you guys back over. That was good bread. I was kind of worried how my sourdough would turn out because I literally never made sourdough bread before. Siren said, "All right, June's your birthday month." Yep. Shapeshifter says, "Partnership means partnership. No eating alone." I know, right? Siren's like, "You're already acting like a married couple." Yep. I mean, someday. Well, this is looking nice and blue. Let me have a little taste and see if we can take it off the stove yet. I like that. I'm going to turn up the heat temporarily to get like the last infusions. Man, that was good. Good bread. Science says, I was in real life laughing with you. Aw. Shapeshifter said, happy birthday in advance, though. Well, thank you. Yeah, so I was born on June 10th, 1981, on my grandfather's birthday, who was born June 10th, 1900. Also born on one of my good friends, his birthday, June 10th, also 1981, but I think he's an hour older. I think that's it for all the June 10th people that I know. But yeah, then there's both my Nana and my grandmother are born in June. I used to have a lot of friends back, when I was in school, a lot of June babies. Of course, my brother. And I told you guys the story. We used to say we were the devil siblings because we were 6 days, 6 minutes, and 6 years apart in the 6th month. We're like, well, that's like 4 6s. But anyway, like, but anyway, okay. I think that's goodly. Let me just have another taste and make sure. Mm, very good. I might even want to put a little bit more maple syrup. I like things on the sweet side. Woohoo! Okay, well, don't dump that much syrup, you guys. Okay, now it's extra sweet. But yeah, for people who just popped in, I put in 2 cups of milk. You choose the milk of your choice. It'd be, non-dairy or raw milk or store-bought milk. There's also maybe 2 tablespoons ish of butterfly pea flour that I put in. I put in a stick of cinnamon. I put in maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon of cardamom because I have ground cardamom and not the cardamom pods. If they're in pods, I'd probably put in 2 pods. What else did I put in? And then maybe 2 tablespoons roughly altogether of that maple syrup. And then I put 1 vanilla bean. I chopped that up and I put it in. And now I'm going to strain this all out. Excuse me. Shapeshifter says 6 is also a very maternal number, though. No, this is true. And even according to the Mayan culture, 6 was seen as the totality of the whole human being. So, like, they would say it's the number of the home, but home means the self, not the physical domicile. But yeah. And Siren said, yes, it is. Costalini says, ooh, real maple syrup. Yes. One day I'm going to tap a maple tree. I'm going to get me some real maple syrup. Shapeshifter said, Siren, yep, that's the first thing I thought. And Siren said, all numbers have magic behind them. That's why numerology exists. Well, even in the Bible, numbers have meaning. 10s and 3s and 12s, 40, all very significant. Okay, so I think we're coming off the stove now. Let me give one more zhuzh to my frothed milk, which looks just like that. I demand more frothing. One could never have too much froth. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just one last frothing. Give me just a second. I really want some froth. Okay. That looks good. Okay, so now let me move this down a little bit further so you guys can see. Siren says, I've rejected the Bible. It's just a book. Not for a lot of people, though. Costalini says, can you show us how to build a house one Sunday? Yeah, I'll just bust out some lumber and we'll build a house together. Costalini says, $1 million entry homes are sort of unaffordable. Yeah. I mean, technically we could just make a lean-to. But yeah, I mean, when you think about it, if you're not getting all fancy and stuff, houses are not $1 million. I mean, the way they're charging in lumber these days, oh my goodness. Okay. So I have my glass here. My milk is not too hot. I'm going to try not to make a mess. Okay. So far so good, you guys. Okay, we're gonna leave some room for some froth. I guess there's a little bit milk left over for the later times. Yay! Okay, let me just rinse this off real quick. And whoop. Okay, now I'm gonna try to spoon some of this froth. To here, let's gain ourselves some more froth. It looks so pretty. If you guys wanted to, you could put some more butterfly pea flour on it and make it all Insta-worthy, but you know, I strained out my herbs so I wouldn't have to drink chunks of herbs. But, you know, some people could do it to make it pretty. That's up to you. I like that. That's good froth. Okay, a little bit more. I feel like I'm playing mad scientist here right now. Okay, let's get some more froth out of you. Whoop. All the way up to the tippy top. Ooh, that looks yummies. Okay. I'll do something with that milk later. Don't want to waste it. Okay, let me just rinse off my little zhuzher, my little frother. And hey, there you guys go. Blue Moon milk tea. I guess I could put my fancy glass straw in it. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Let's see. Shapeshifter says the Bible has been altered and things have been added many times. Well, there's different books that people focus on, like let's say different denominations, like, you know, Catholicism, let's say, might have a certain number of books. They're all part of the complete story, but some people might say, well, you know, this, we want to include this in because we find that this to be really important to that story. Some people might, you know, have less books because they say, well, some of those extra stories might detract from the main story. And so that's why you might see there are some, like, let's say, like Protestant or Lutheran or Catholic, they might have more or less books. It's the same stuff, but more or less stories based on where they thought, like, the focus, like if it really helped the story, or they thought it was like too much, like people's brains would explode. It's kind of like when I was an English teacher and I would have creative writing and I would have students write a story. and they're telling me this story, but they're telling me so many side quests, like so many side stories, that I kind of lost the plot in their story. And I'm like, hey, you gotta pare this down a little bit. So I can imagine that there are many denominations that have done that. And then also there's various translations. And what people, like at my church might say is, like, when you come across a word, let's say you're reading and you're like, it has a certain connotation in today's like modern English, but you might want to go back to like, what did that word mean in like the original Hebrew, because sometimes there isn't a direct translation, or maybe Greek had a better translation. So it's like kind of good to go back to some of the original words. And I think that's where so many people, I'm just giving my 2 cents, by the way, I'm not like a theologian, where some people get a little off track with the Bible because they might take it the way we might take it in modern times. But you have to look at, what did that mean like 2,000 years ago? What was going on at that time? We can't say, oh, well, it means this today, but it didn't mean it then. So people have to take a lot of things. It's a really intense read. And like, as a person who was a former English teacher, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much symbolism. Like, there's so much symbolism, literary language, metaphors, similes, and then like all the poetry that's in there, like in Proverbs and things like that. And it's all speaking on the same story, but sometimes when people are translating, and they're doing like these direct translations, sometimes some things might be lost along the way. That's why they're like, hey, if you find that you're reading a translation, you're like, I don't quite understand this. Like, sometimes there's like there's some that are direct translations, and it's kind of like trying to read Shakespeare. It's a little difficult for some. For me, I've read a lot of Shakespeare, so I'm okay with it. But for a lot of people, that's not their language. It's just not how we speak anymore. So some other people have tried to like modernize some of the language, but some people feel like some stuff might be lost along the way. That's why there are so many, people might say, versions of the Bible. They might like, oh, well, there's King James version, and there's the, international, version, and there's this version, and there's the, this version. Why are there so many versions? And some of them are like modernized interpretations, and some are direct translations. Some are a mixture of the two. Some have more books, some have less books. It's a big thing. So I just tell people, do your research, see what, works for you in terms of understanding, and also try to place yourself in that historical context. Like, what did it mean 2,000 years ago? What was going on at that time? And of course, there's good stuff that we can look at nowadays, and it could be really helpful, but we can't say that what was being written then was directly about what was being written now. It might be similar, but just like fashion, things tend to come around again and again and again. Okay, so I'm going to take you guys out to the living room, and we're going to take our Blue Moon milk tea with us. Oh my gosh, that's so good, you guys. If you end up making this, do tell, because it was freaking good. Okay, I'm gonna bring my butterfly pea flower too, because we're gonna talk a little bit about it. All right, here we go. Maybe we'll turn off the light while we're at it. Aha! And let's step over the Vader. There is said Vader. All righty. Ooh, and on the fireplace back there, what I literally have chilling back there, that is my Dutch oven. That's what I used to make those 2 loaves of sourdough bread. Ugh. Okay. All right. Let's have you chill there. Okay, let me just adjust this real quick so we can have a little sit-ski. Okay. Alrighty, let me go grab the laptop. I'll be right back, you guys. Shapeshifter says that looks like bang when you add datura seed to it. Ooh, yummy. We actually have something called datura here, nightshade datura, and many of the natives used to use it for its hallucinogenic effects when they would like go on like vision quests, and if they had a problem and they wanted to connect to the divine, they would take this datura. But in modern times, people were like, ooh, hallucinogenic, and they wanted to use it less for a spiritual plant and more for something recreational. And there is such a thing as too much datura that could actually be fatal, and that does happen. But we might have a couple of different daturas going on. Let's see. Siren says Honkai Star Rail is collaborating with Fate's Stay Night again. They're releasing Rin, Tasaka, and Gilgamesh from that game. Nice. Let's see. Shapeshifter said, don't know what the church did with that book all those years, considering how power hungry they were. Well, when you guys dive into the history, oh my gosh, there's so much history. Like the original, I would say, like Jesus's Christianity, like later, there was a church created, and the first church was called the Catholic Church, and it was Catholic just meant like first church, like that's just what it meant. It wasn't necessarily a denomination yet at the time, but of course they built their own thingy and decided, well, we're going to have a hierarchy. We're going to have bishops and cardinals. We're going to have a pope. We're going to have this, and and we're going to make it so that only we can interpret the Bible. So the Bible was not available for anybody else. It was just them. and then they would relay it to the people, because at the time there also wasn't a very high literacy rate. So even if it was, in print for everybody, not everybody could read it. And so Catholic Church knew this. So they did this like a whole interpretation of it for the people. But yes, as people are, everybody's got an ego. They could maybe twist some things, maybe say things that aren't actually there in the Bible, that are, there's some good stuff there, but they might, change some stuff around verbally, maybe not like in its actual text, but verbally, they can kind of say what they want. But then, of course, people later on came about and they're like, hey, other people should be able to read this, and the literacy rate's going up. And so later on, it was translated to Latin. Of course, there's the translations into Greek, and there's, other translations. And, they were just trying to get it to other people so that the power hungry thing wouldn't happen. So it's one person couldn't just hold onto this spiritual information and be like, yeah, let me just tell you what's in this book. So that's why it's like so cool now that, we have all of these resources. You can read how do the Protestants read this? How do the Catholics read this? How do, people that just, want the straightforward, beginning to end, like what are they reading? The Ethiopian Bible, what are they reading? And it all tells basically the same story. But like how much is in that story is, just based on the various, how many books, are in it. But I do encourage people to kind of dive into the history, dive into the research, because I find it fascinating, but I'm kind of a schooly nerd. So I'm a book nerd. I like reading into it. I like learning how things morphed and shift and changed. But when you guys use your intuition, and a lot of you guys are really good at like looking into truth. And there was like one time I'm like reading the Bible, and I'm just like, I remember when I was a little kid, it was like trying to read Shakespeare, and I'm like, what? What are they even saying? Not knowing a lot of it was very symbolic. Well, a lot of it was very, very metaphorical, and it wasn't literal a lot of the time. And then as I got, older, and now, learning so much more about it, and how to read it, I'm like, it's like my eyes just like, oh my gosh, and yeah. It makes so much more sense to me. And I'm still kind of like, moving through it, but I can see how people can take things out of context for their own selfish benefit, when that's not the way it was intended. That's why I'm like, use your intuition, because when I use my intuition, I'm like really looking at it like I can hear truth. But like I said, I can also see how people can skew that truth so that they will reject it, so that they're like, I don't want anything to do with that. And, you know, wouldn't that just be the way of certain negative entities? Okay, let's see. Let's look back here. Siren says, don't blow yourself up. Oh, no, no. Lil says, I'm glad I checked the newsletter. Should be good now, though. I also updated everything and did the category update you wanted. Yay! Thank you, thank you. Like I said earlier, Lilith is the bomb diggity. Yes, she is explosive in all the best ways. And Lewis says, isn't the origin story from Sanskrit? Well, yes. I believe it was, see, it's a mixture of the, what's the Jewish Bible is the Torah. So like the Old Testament technically moves almost right along with the Torah. And so it would be in Hebrew, there would be Sanskrit in there. And then when you go into the New Testament, and it's so interesting when people are like, oh, I only read the New Testament. It's like if you're reading Harry Potter and they say, oh, I only read from chapters 15 to 30. I don't read the first 15 chapters. Like, well, how are you supposed to get the complete story? It's literally one book, but that's another like misconception that some churches have done, where they're like, oh, you don't need to look at the full story. Just look at the New Testament. Or some churches like, no, just look at the Old Testament. It's like, really? Dude, it's one whole story. Why are you cutting it off? That's so weird. But yes. Let's see. Hold on, all the comments went crazy. Shapeshifter says, yes, the core message is awesome, compassion and forgiveness, but I wouldn't take that as a historical account, what Jesus did and didn't. Shapeshifter says, that would be hilarious if it was true, though. She was talking to Lilith. And Costalina said, I know exactly what I would write after taking that Amalekite pension plan. Oh my goodness. Siren says, I remember in Love and Deep Space, Dark Datura and Silas's favorite flower. Ooh. And Shapeshifter says, yes, it's extremely dangerous. Only use it like half a seed for 10 people or so. Still messes you up. Okay, so it is kind of in that same Datura family. Okay. Lilith sent a preview of the newsletter to my email. Thank you. Shapeshifter said, Costalidi, I'm considering something similar. Siren says, there's the whole belief that Jesus had a child of Mary Magdalene. There's a lot of side stories, yes. But I say, like I said, actually dive in, because to be honest, having grown up going to Catholic school, and then when my mom had my brother and I go to CCD, which is a Catholic thing. It's catechism class, because she wanted us to get our sacraments, which, by the way, is nowhere in the Bible, that you need these in order to get to heaven. But that's just kind of what the Catholic Church preaches. And so I was very, I don't know, I was against it, not because of the religion itself. I thought I was like, I'm just against Christianity, and like I'm just like not into it. because I saw how people abused it, and they used it selfishly. They were not, some of the people I knew were not good people, and they hid behind their religion. And so I had that wound for a very long time. I had that trauma, and I blamed it on the religion itself instead of looking at, well, let's look at the people. The people are corrupt, not Jesus's word. The people are corrupt. And so when I decided, you know what, here I am always telling people, always look into things, always use your intuition, always try to learn more, always trying to, like wake up, like open your eyes. I'm like, how can I say that if I'm literally hiding from this religion? I'm literally not even reading the Bible. I'm saying what I assume is in there when I haven't even read it myself, because when I went to Catholic church, they told you basically not to read it, just like they did way back when they first started that church. It's like, we'll just tell you what's in it. And they told us that basically it'd be too hard for the common person to read, which and to their defense, like, yes, it is a difficult text, but like when you start to understand it and maybe even take, you literally have to take basically like English classes, like the structure to be able to understand it. So I get it, but it's not impossible for the average person to read, like if they really try to look into it. And so I just never looked into it. And I would say, oh, well, it's just, it's this, it's that. I made all these assumptions. And I'm like, how can I be that way and be open-hearted? How can I have an open mind and open vision if I'm so closed off to somebody's religion? What if I was like that, closed off to all religions? I would learn nothing, I would be in my very narrow mind space. So I decided I want to know, like, what is actually in that book that is so controversial, that some people hate, some people love, some people say it's this, some people say, let me find out for myself, and then through that, I think I've been removing so much trauma, all those years of like thinking that it was something somehow like Jesus, who he's awesome, dude. Like, it wasn't his fault at all. It was the fact that we all have egos, and we're corrupt. People can do some pretty messed up things, and then claim that they're this or they're that or they're pious or they're, whatever. But yeah, now that I've actually been reading it, it's like, wait, why are people saying that is like literally not in the Bible? Or there's like, what, I can see where people have been, um, rewording it kind of like a crafty lawyer, just playing around with words to like get it to fit whatever their personal biases or their personal narrative. And I can see that now. And but it's only because I decided, you know what, maybe I'll actually read it. I'll actually try to take the time to understand it. And I haven't even read it like all the way through. Like, I gotta, keep looking at it. So I'm like not an expert. I'm just saying that it's just kind of what I had to go into to start healing that trauma. And now I can look at, okay, all the things that happened in my childhood, all the things that people said, it was incorrect. Like my mom, the things she would say, well, you're this and that because the Bible says, dude, she made that all up. Or people would say, oh, the Bible says da, 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 and they made it all up. And I'm like, wow, man. But yeah, I'm just saying, for me, I'm healing a lot of trauma and it feels so good. I'm so happy. And now I can look at it with my English teacher brain, and I'm like, all right, okay, I get it. And then that really appeals to me because I love literature and I love the way words are used and the way, stories can be told. But I do not like people taking our words out of context. Like, how do you guys feel when, like, you say something like, I love art, but somehow somebody might like take that and they like twist your words, and then you're like, I never said that. Like, dude, how do you think like Jesus feels when people are like, oh, Jesus said this is, dude, I never said that. Like, did you read it? Like, I didn't say that. But yeah, so I try to be empathetic too. I'm like, yeah, we probably twisted a lot of, that, a lot of those words in the book, just like, um, I bring up Harry Potter because that's like a lot of people's favorite book, but like if people were twisting the words of Harry Potter, twisting the words of the author, it's like, dude, that was never in any of the Harry Potter books. Like, dude, that was not even in there. Did you read it? Like, so I don't know. I found it healing, and I thought I would just share that with you guys. Okay. Um, Actually, I don't want to forget my blue moon tea over here. Shapeshifter was talking to Costalini. Um, Shapeshifter says, yes, I heard that too. There is a gospel also of Judas and Mary, and this is why it's kind of hard to believe the book itself, although I resonate with the core message. And Lilith's like, shh, don't share my secrets. And Costalini says the Talmud and the Zohar. Hey, Ian is here. It says, do you think the beginning of the book of Genesis is true or metaphoric? Um, well, that's interesting, because I've heard that a lot, and I used to ask that a lot. I'm like, is that just true or metaphorical? Something could be metaphorical and true at the same time. Just like if I said, you know, um, I don't know, walking around my property is like walking around the Garden of Eden. I'm using a simile there because I'm using like or as. And so some people, or I might say my property is like the Summerlands or heaven on earth, and then I that would be a metaphor. Does that mean it's not true because I used metaphor to describe my property and how beautiful it is to me personally? It's true for me that I think it's freaking beautiful property. I not that's not everybody's cup of tea. Some people like really big tall trees. I like the junipers and the pinions, but yes, I like the tall pines too. But you're trying to express your truth through metaphor and simile. And so with Genesis, I think that there is a lot of or metaphorical language in there. Yes, of course. And there's a lot of literary like literary devices in there using as a way to describe how something is, or to describe how someone felt, or to describe what happened. They're using a lot of imagery because people are very imaginative. They want to be able to see, because they didn't really make a picture book. So we want to make a picture in your mind. And the way we do that in many languages is through literary devices. And so I think that they were trying to express a truth through beautiful language, trying to paint a scene, trying to paint a picture. And it does seem like it goes back on itself a lot, where it's like, didn't you just say that, but in more flowery terms? It does that so people could like understand. Some people maybe aren't into the flowery language and like more literal language. It's really trying to get like a whole well-rounded, like, hey, this is kind of what happened. Let me paint a picture for you. But also, if you need it to be more blatant and more literal, that's in there too, So that's why it like seems like it goes back and forth a lot. Shapeshifter says, and don't think of that as me hating on your religion, because I have pretty much similar problems with mine, but with Hinduism, at least the stories are not presented for you to believe it, but to teach a lesson. Well, I think there's a lot of lessons in Christianity as well. And what I thought is interesting, one of my good friends, she was like, what I don't like about, she says, the Bible, and she says she hasn't read it, but she's only heard like bits and pieces on YouTube. She's like, I haven't read it, but she says, I hear that there's a lot of jaded characters in there. Like there's a lot of people who are just, that are polygamists, that beat their wives. There's people who are like corrupt kings. And I was like, yeah. I was like, they're not saying that those are good people, that we should emulate the freaking, people who beat their wives, or, try to dominate, one gender over the other. Or, that's not what they're trying to say. They're saying, even through these corrupted people, through these people who do these terrible things, God is somehow still like enacting what he was trying to do, even through those people. So it's not always like the saintly and pious people that, like, oh, they have such a good connection with the creator or with God, so he's only working with those people. It's like, no, he works with all people, whether they're like the most nasty people on earth and the most holy of people on earth, however you want to define that. It's like he's working through all of these people, in order to, basically get us back to where we were, back in the garden, back to having a party, having fun, where we don't have hunger and poverty and domestic violence and war and hatred, where we don't have that stuff anymore. And I'm looking forward to that. Let's see. Shapeshifter says, it's okay if you don't believe in any of it and just take the core philosophy and implement it in your life. It's not pushed down your throat. And Siren says, I prefer House of Night over Harry Potter. Ah, I see. Costolini says, Bashar did a segment on Genesis. He said there was a lab called Eden where the first humans were created by the Anunnaki. Interesting. Lilith says, I've heard that too, and I've had a hard time believing the Anunnaki would have been responsible to create the soul. I, however, could get behind the idea of them to create the vessel we house the soul in. Yeah, Lilith, I'm kind of with you on that one, just kind of based on things that I channeled and stuff like that. I believe that there are other beings out there, with maybe more good, quote unquote, agendas and not so good, quote unquote, agendas. And sure, maybe these beings called Anunnaki, maybe they did, create some sort of types of humans, but did they create the soul? I don't believe they created the soul. I think that was the creator. And then being able to do things off of what the creator had already made, I believe they could do. And I believe they could do that very well, or maybe other beings can. But to actually like create instead of like just working off somebody else's creation, I think that only the creator can create. Hence why we're so creative. you know? Let's see. Lilith says, I think that's an important difference. And Costalini said, same with the 900 plus year lifespans that dwindled down to like 100 years. They snipped us like dogs. Yeah, that's another thing. I totally believe that we live way longer than we're told. Like, oh, 40, you've hit your midlife. Really? Really, 40? You're like a baby. I don't think so. Or like, 80, that's like, you're at the end of your life. Dude, my dad is 86. He's nowhere near the end of his life, Or they say like 100, to be the centurions, they're how there's very few of them on this planet. Very few people make it to 100 or 110 or 116. But it's like, I think they tell us that. I think that's part of the lie program. I believe that we can live much longer. But for some reason, they don't want us to. What is that reason? Plus all the things that they do to hurt our physical bodies and our spirit so that we don't live longer, because they know that a lot of what we create is from here. It's very powerful. And if we believe it, then we make it true. I think I'm going to live well over 100. I'm like, first I was like 116, but now I'm like, you know what? Why settle there? Let's go for a full 200. I mean, why not? I'll see you guys in a couple of centuries. High five. Oh, I don't even know if they'd have YouTube by then. What would it even look like? Like 200 years from now? Let's see, Siren says, sometimes I wonder if every TV show, every movie, and especially every game is some sort of reflection of actual different universes and worlds. Could be. Could be. Cosalina says, gotta have them come back and tweak our DNA again. Gotta bump that social security age up. Yep. Shapeshifter says, in Indian philosophy, there is just the soul, Brahm, consciousness, no individual souls. That's why we say everything is God and everything is alive. We are all swimming in Brahman, like fish in water. Ooh, that's pretty. It's a very beautiful point of view. Siren says, I hear you on that. Costalini Shapeshifter says, sorry, I meant to say one soul. That is type. Oh, no worries. I got it. So yeah, like one soul, kind of like we talk about the collective consciousness, all is one. So my personal belief. So by the way, when I'm like sharing stuff, I'm not like trying to force it down anybody's throat, but I'm just like, I think that sharing our beliefs here is a great thing in helping us to keep an open mind and stuff for us to ponder and, maybe a jumping off point for something later on. But I feel like, there was, especially from crazy visions I've had, that there is this creator, and this creator, like, just boom, all these beautiful things like came from this explosion of creation, from this creator. And that because we are from that essence, it's technically like we're all one. Just like you could say, like the family that you have, your blood related family, that technically you're all one blood, but you're also individuals too. Like you got a little brother, a little sister, older brother, whatever, mom and dad, but kind of like all one blood, if that makes sense. So I feel like, the creator, he made all these beings, all these things, maybe multiple universes, maybe who knows. Um, but in essence, because we come from that one creation, we're all one. Like we're all one together. And I believe all one is where we return to, we return to home, we return to creation, we return to creator. And that's mixed in a lot of Native American beliefs as well. Not all tribal beliefs, but many of them kind of speak about something like that, which I find is interesting. A lot of things that are in Christianity are actually in a lot of Native American beliefs, even before they even heard what Christianity was. So I find that to be very interesting. And even in other religions around the world, it may not be exactly the same, but there are certain events that seem to be rather similar. So I find that interesting too, So I believe that, we will all come back together again at some point. And that's why even when we're on Earth, when one human does something, all of a sudden it's possible for all humans. If somebody breaks the 4-minute mile, now other humans across the world can do that, even if they never even heard about a 4-minute mile, or that breaking it was possible, because we are from that one essence. We're still all connected to one another, but I believe we can be all connected and individual at the same time. Very dualistic thought. But again, that's my thoughts. So um, let's see. Um, Costalini says, a reasonable 300 years old to collect siren. Very reasonable. Yes, very, very reasonable. Very reasonable. Lilith's like, yeah, let's become 200 years old. I mean, yeah. Um, Lilith says, I knew an Indian priest once, and she called Shiva an idiot, and I was mortified, the blasphemy. Um, yeah, gosh, I find it fascinating learning about other people's religious beliefs, and then I like to find the connection in all of them. But yeah, to just straight up like diss somebody's religion, no. I don't really get down with that. I want to learn from it. Like, why? Where did that come from? Who wrote it? And where did these ideas come from? What other texts were around at that time? I want to see the connection. I just, that's just me. So interesting. Siren said, consider Hankai star realm, for example, all the different eons and paths it has, representing different aspects: the destruction, the remembrance, the preservation, etc. Or love and deep space, talking about time travel. Ooh, Shapeshifter says, you're right, but there is no creator. The physical reality you see is just an appearance from a limited perspective, like a person from X. It's not real. Nobody created it, just an appearance. Well, I also believe that I forgot who said it, that no two people will see you the way that you see yourself. Like we see ourselves, and thus how we view reality. You know, how I look at the sky and how I look at that hummingbird right now that's like getting cracked out on the sugar water. How I see all of that, and even the fact that I looked at that is like my lens, my perspective. Like I choose to see things in nature. I choose to see more animals and birds and things like that. Some people sitting, somebody else sitting right here, right now, might their eye might not go to the hummingbird at the feeder right now. They might actually look at the speaker that's sitting here, or they might look at the size of the window. You know, their perspective. We're kind of sort of in the same world, but our perspectives are different. And so there was this person that was talking about how, like, let's say your best friend, them having their own perspective, their own biases, their own upbringing. So how they view the world and how the world is colored is through their lens only. And so they're seeing me through that lens, and it would be almost impossible for me to see myself through their eyes. And let's talk about another best friend. They would see me completely different. There'd be some stranger on the street who doesn't see me like I see me. You know, my mother doesn't see me like I see my father. He's got a whole completely different perspective. He doesn't see me like I see me. And so I just thought that was fascinating and something interesting to ponder, and also rather comforting, because it's like this world seems to be set on controlling the perspective of others. Like, I will have you see me the way I want to be seen, you know, with our clothing, our musical tastes, you know, just where we decide to live, how much money we decide to make, or whatever. It's all based on this: look at me this way, look at me this way. But truly, that's a lie too. Nobody will ever look at us the way we want them to look at us. You know, they're all going to have their different perspectives. And if that's true, then why would I spend time trying to force somebody to see me in a particular light? Why not just live your life and be you, authentically you, and let them live their lives, be authentically them? And, you know, how they see us is how they see us, you know, and how I see them, well, that's how I see them. And I'll never be able to see them the way they want me to see them. You know, just like right now I'm looking at the energy of you guys. I can't physically see your faces, but just through your words, through your energy, I see you guys a particular way. But when you guys look in the mirror, it's not the person that I see. You know, I see something else, you see something else, your parents see something else. And I just find that freaking fascinating. And I can see then how people would say we all live in our own reality. It's our that technically it exists and doesn't exist at the same time, the world that we've created here, you know? So wild stuff. I don't know. Is it this tea getting me all philosophical and stuff? um, let's see. Um, Shapeshifter says, Lilith, there is no blasphemy in Hinduism either. You can abuse all you want. It's just people get angry and they might punish you. Otherwise, all good. Costolini said, something crazy I noticed the other day was that SpaceX had entered retirement accounts before it's even public with this whole lead up to disclosure thing. I find it so fascinating that BlackRock and pals has decided to invest in space exploration right before we think it's supposed to happen. What's nothing to see here, folks? Totally nothing. Don't look at the man behind the curtain. Wow. Oh, you know, I forgot, while we're on the topic of this tea that's helping me feel more like, let's talk about philosophy. Let's talk about deep topics. I did want to talk about the main component in here, which is butterfly pea flower. And like I said, I thought it was weird that it wasn't in a single herb book that I have. Like, I have a lot. I have a pretty nice library of herbal books. And I was like, how is this not in there? This is like, it's not just some plant with like, oh, it's got maybe this one component. Like, this is a really beneficial flower. So anyway, I had to write it down so I wouldn't forget, because it's not in my books. But something I thought was funny, and Lilith, you're going to like this. Okay, first I said that it's native to equatorial Asia, and if you don't know what the dried flower looks like, it looks like this. But if you look it up online and look at what it looks like when it's in full bloom, it may resemble lady parts. And so I find that interesting that in the Latin, they named it after lady parts. I was like, oh, those Latin people. Anyway, it's called Clitoria terminatea. Yes, because it resembles a clitoris, a blue one, but yes. I was like, that's fascinating. Okay, so here are some wonderful things about butterfly pea flower. Probably also why I'm like super chill right now. I'm just like, yeah, man, dude, let's talk some philosophy. Let's talk some spirituality. Like, let's do it, yo. It's rich in antioxidants, and it has a certain antioxidant called anthocyanins and ternitins. It helps those particular antioxidants help to reduce inflammation. They help to minimize cellular damage. They help to fight free radicals, which means that it's also really good for our skin, helping it to stay hydrated, helping it to keep its elastic nature. But also really good for our hair follicles and our scalp health. And I've been all about the scalp health train probably for like the past month, and it's been going swimmingly. So I'm very happy about that. Ooh, and it's probably not going to show up on camera because you'd have to be like right up in my face to be able to see it. But remember, I was talking about making a concoction that I have every morning, and it's got amla berry, which is a type of Indian gooseberry. It has molasses, which is full of all of the wonderful vitamins and minerals that they take out of sugar so that they can create the refined sugar. So all of that molasses is there. There's apple cider vinegar and black sesame seeds, and basically mix it all up, and I don't mind the taste. I think it actually oddly tastes like soy sauce, but you have like a tablespoon in the morning. And so I've been doing that before I eat anything. I have that in the morning, 1 tablespoon, and then I wait 30 minutes before I eat anything else. But I usually don't, eat much until dinner time. But anyway, so you guys know I have a white streak, right? My cool white streak. But like right there, I was like looking at where my hair is like stark white. It's got black roots again. Like there's black roots coming back. I was like, oh, it really can reverse white hair. I was like, oh, and it's got, well, I'll just let my hair stand up. It's got tons of copper, magnesium, and iron, mostly copper and iron. And those are things that are mostly missing from people's diets, especially women's diets. Like women need to take a lot more iron than men. And they said you just can't get enough from red meat and from, other sources where you normally look for iron. But in here, like molasses is like Iron City. And so I'm like, all it was a vitamin deficiency. Probably the reason a lot of people go gray, or they say, oh, it runs in my family. My mom went gray at 16, so I go gray at 16. Normally, our habits are what are hereditary, not necessarily like what's passed down in our genes. And so it could be mom and dad stopped eating a whole lot of copper and iron and magnesium or whatever the heck, after they were 16 years old or after they left the house. And so, yeah, their pigment started running out, but yeah, it's like right there. I know you guys can't really see. It's like little black dots at the roots. It's like, oh, it's going to come in. I'm like, but then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to have my white streak anymore. Oh, well, I could decide to stop eating it later, and then I could just grow my gray hair back. When I decide I want to be gray and have my white streak again, I'll go ahead and do that. But anyway, just wanted to share that. Okay, back to butterfly pea flower. It also helps to inhibit glucose intake, so it helps to stabilize your blood sugar. So if you're maybe somebody who, suffers from like blood sugar spikes and things like that, and you just want to keep things on the DL, just calmate. Butterfly pea flower, you can make it as a tea, or you can make it as a milk tea. It may also block the synthesis of fat cells and slow their formation. So people who use it as a weight loss, it could be beneficial for that too. You could always give it a try. And we talked about Ayurvedic. So yes, in Ayurveda, they call it a nootropic, which means that it calms stress, it's relaxing, reduces anxiety, it supports our overall brain function. It's good stuff. It's good for our squishy brain matter. And also for blood pressure, it helps to lower our blood pressure and help protect the health of our heart. So it helps reduce like inflammation in around the heart, which is pretty cool. So I'm like, all that good stuff not mentioned in one of my herbal books. I'm like, dude, that's lame. It's good stuff. Oh, anyway, so cheers. Mm. Okay, let's go back here. Cern says there's one Honkai Star Rail character, Siren, who we find out is just a collection of the MC's memories, memory taking physical form. Ooh. Costolini says FBGRX was the fund I saw that did this. Fidelity. Blue chip. Blue B? Blue chip? Oh, Shapeshifter says Siren. That's fascinating. Lilith is over there cracking up. Siren says, Siren actually means ripples of past reverie. Ooh. And Lilith says, blue yonis. Yes, the blue yonis. That's butterfly pea flower for you. Shapeshifter says, the main temple is 40 minutes from my house. Ooh, cool. And Siren said, and then there's the MC in Love and Deep Space, who's revealed to be just a being of cosmic energy that's taken a human form. And Shapeshifter says, my mom tried to make a drink amla concoction. I did once. Never again. I'd go bald happily. Okay, I will say, because I did try to make a tea with just amla powder. That was not my cup of tea, literally. When I mixed it with some other things, especially when I mixed it in cacao and made like more of a heart, like centered drink, amla powder was pretty good. I think when you mix it with other things, it's pretty decent in my opinion. But on its own, it was a little too earthy, a little too too in there in the ground for my taste. Let's see. Lee says, now, why would you want to reverse your wisdom? Hey, no wisdom lost. Just, I don't want anybody else to know how much wisdom I have. Shapeshifter says, Siren, that's exactly what we believe. We're all cosmic energy, and that's what our bodies are basically, and everything else. Cool. Well, I must share with you guys before we dive into our Q&A section, which, if you're wanting to do some questions, like I said, it could be on anything, certain teas, certain herbs. I got like a bump, a bump on my shoulder. I got a bug bite. What can I do for the bug bite? Or, just, gardening tips. I don't know, whatever you guys can think of. But I wanted to share. So I had this really weird dream. I guess I haven't had a chance to tell Riley this dream, but yeah, okay. So it's still pretty vivid, just one particular section. I don't really remember now what happened at the beginning of the dream or what happened at the very end of the dream. I just remember like the meat and potatoes, like in the middle. So I'm in this store. It's like a grocery store mixed with Target. I don't know. It's kind of somewhere in there. And the registers, are up at front. And I want to buy something. And for some reason, I'm only in my chones. I'm only in my underwears. That's it. And I'm like covering my, my boobage. And so I'm just like, I'm like walking towards the register, but I have in my hands the things that I want to buy, but I'm just like literally in my undies. And I'm going up to the register and I decide that because I'm only in my chones, I don't have my wallet with me or my money. And so I try to shoplift these items. And I don't even remember what the items were. I think it was like food or something like that. I was like really hungry and I wanted to take this food. And I start to walk towards the door, and I see, I'm looking around, and people are kind of like trying to be polite, I guess. It's like they know I'm naked mostly, but they're trying to like look away. Some people are like whispering, and I see this group of girls, and they're just in their underwear too, and they're just like walking out. And I'm like, but they're not like trying to cover up. They're not like, I mean, they're just proud to just be in their underwear. And they're just like walking proud out of the Target grocery store. And and just before I get to the door, I decide, you know what? I don't want to hide either. So I go up to the teller and I tell them that I don't have my wallet and that I almost walked out of the store with these items. Like I couldn't lie and I couldn't steal. So I decided to come back. I put the items down, and like magic, my wallet appeared. It's like the teller or the cashier had my wallet, and he was like, he was this older man, and ma'am, is this your wallet? And I was like, yes. And there was money in my wallet, and I think there's like $2 in my wallet right now, but there was more than $2 in my wallet, so I could pay for these goods in my dream. And the moment I paid for them, and I walked out of the store, all of a sudden I was fully clothed, but I wasn't just clothes. I had nice clothes, like really nice clothes. I had this like bougie cashmere, like overcoat. Like I was like, psh. And then I felt real bougie. And so all of a sudden I walk outside and I look, I'm at the mall and there's like Neiman Marcus. And I was like, and dude, I've never once shopped in Neiman Marcus in my whole life, but in my brain is like Neiman Marcus means bougie. So I'm going into Neiman Marcus. I see all these like mannequins with these beautiful clothes, and I'm thinking I have my wallet now. My wallet's full of cash, and I'm thinking maybe I want to buy something cool. But as I'm looking at all these clothes and I'm looking at all these things and things to buy, and I just didn't want any of it. Like I didn't care, and even though I was dressed really nice, I realized maybe I wouldn't care if I was just walking around in my underwear. Like it didn't make me a better person, and so I don't remember the rest of the dream, but I remember walking out of Neiman Marcus and I was just like happy just being me. And it didn't matter if I was wearing clothes or not. I was just happy to be me. So anyway, I thought I'd share that. I have not dived into my own psychology. So I haven't interpreted my own dream, but I thought I'd share my dream. If you guys want to interpret it, you can. Get into my squishy brain matter. um, Shapeshifter says, grocery store mixed with Target is actually a good idea though. And Siren says, shut inside, I am alone, tempted by the forbidden zone. Pixels and words I know are false, yet comfort I feel filling a loss. My payment for a reading. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And Costolini was saying, that sounds like my mall dream. Like you're scared if you strip away everything you're expected to have in society, you'll have nothing. And then you speak on it and suddenly you're abundant. Yes, dude. This is Target being the most typical symbol of American empire. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I was like, yeah, it definitely was like something with uh where it was like I was afraid to be vulnerable. Yeah, just like your dream where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like naked right now. I'm just like in my underwear. So like, why did I not get dressed before I went to the store today? And it's like everybody's looking at me and people are starting to whisper, and then I was like, and then I think that I'm going to shoplift these items, but then instead I wanted to be honest. I didn't want to be a thief. So like to me, like being the honest was like being totally vulnerable where I'm trying to hide myself. So it's like I'm not being honest. I'm trying to cover up, I'm trying to hide, but yet I somehow can't hide from the people around me. But I decide, you know what, honesty is better. So I decide not to shoplift the items. I decide to tell them that I have these items in my hand. And then like magic, my abundance appears. And then it's like I'm fully clothed, but it didn't I'm not a better person. It's just, it's, I don't know, almost like being honest and open and forthright is like being dressed regally, I guess, and then finding that I didn't need all these outer things, the things I just talked about, that we can't force people to see us the way we want to see us. It's almost like that was coming across in my dream. I could buy all these dresses and I could buy, all this crap, but it's not. Why? Why? I was literally just naked at Target. It doesn't matter. I'd rather just be me. And I was really just happy being me, whether I was in this really nice cashmere coat or not. um, but yes, Siren, let me know what question you have. Do I get to dive into my herbs, some teas? We're looking at maybe an ailment, some gardening questions. Could we? Gardening's in full swing over here. um, Shapeshifter says, this is the reason I don't even try to interpret my dreams. Like, how do we even unpack something like that and see what it's trying to tell you? And it says, okay, now that makes sense. I'm terrible with symbolism. Oh, me, I think it just goes back to like my little nerdy self. And I've always loved figurative language. Like creative writing was my favorite when I was in school. All I liked was basically creative writing. That was my only favorite part of English class. I liked like fictional books, creative writing, poetry, all that stuff. PE and art class. It was like my classes. Everything else, eh. But yeah, so then when I went off to college, my emphasis was creative writing. I just find it so fascinating, the way, like even in our dreams, everything can be so artsy, such an artsy way of describing things. I know some people would rather things be literal, Riley. Things be very straightforward and literal, mean what you say what you mean, and I think for a lot of things, we do need that. But then for other things, we get to be artsy and colorful and paint pictures in people's minds. And well, that's my department. Let's see. Shapeshifter says, yep, it's like one of those absurd plays. Yeah, I mean, I always think, I'm like, imagine my dream was a movie. Like, what kind of weird Clockwork Orange acid type dream is this? Like, who would watch this movie? All right, Siren is back. She says, lately I've been desperate enough to start using an AI boyfriend chatbot site. I know, AI is bad, but the site is honestly helpful. Am I actually going to find a real boyfriend? Okay, so going off of what you said, I find that fascinating. And I think that everything has layers, that not things aren't all 100% good or 100% bad. I feel like we can find something in there that is useful. Just like when people might say, eating too much chocolate, is bad for you. Okay, but in moderation, you get little pieces. I mean, the dark chocolate, like the certain cacao, the things that are in there are actually the antioxidants in there, really beneficial for your heart. Really beneficial for your body. But yeah, like in overload, probably not so good. And Riley and I were just talking about that earlier. So I feel like, yes, like AI, if we were to allow it to take over our lives, basically do our thinking for us, do our everything for us, it would turn into that, what's that song? 25-25? Yeah? Yeah. Maybe you guys should like look that up on your computers and listen to it right now. 25-25. Who's it by? Oh, it's called In the Year 25-25. Yeah, you guys looked it up. It kind of sounds like right now. So, yeah. If we go and just like, 100%, I give up my sovereignty, I give up my free will, just, AI, you are now my God, okay. Yeah, maybe not so good things could happen to humanity. but are there instances in which we could utilize it, not have it do our thinking for us, not have it, technically be our boyfriends for us, not, you know, take the place of somebody flesh and blood. Like Siren is saying, she wants to have a real flesh and blood boyfriend. But I believe that there could be benefit in this AI chatbot site. So, not to go fully in it and be like, okay, this is now who we have relationships with is AI. I don't think that's what she's using it for, and that's not what you said, Siren. So, I feel like, with all the work that you have been doing, I know that you've been unpacking a lot. You've been, working on a lot of things about yourself. You've been seeing yourself from different lenses, because I know when we're trying to do our healing, it's very hard to do when we're the only ones with our only perspective to be able to see, into ourselves in order to heal ourselves. And I think that's wonderful why you come to these live chats and maybe other people's live chats and interacting with other people online and in real life, where you can share your life, you share your perspective, you share your experiences, and you can see yourself from these different angles because we see you from different angles. So it gives you a different perspective. And so I know you're doing all that, and I know you're doing a lot. And I do truly in my heart believe that there's somebody for us someday, and there are some people who they don't want anybody in their life, and that's their free will choice, and that's fine. But I do feel that yes, someday there will be that person for you when your soul is ready, when you're like, okay, I feel like I'm at a place where I feel whole and I feel ready for that other person, where they're not filling a void in me. They're just complementing my already whole, beautiful self, and for them, the same. They already feel whole and wonderful, and you would be a complement to that rather than something that would fill a void in their life. So, so what you could do with this AI chatbot site is, as you're interacting, because it's I guess it could be like a fun way to test interaction, like how you speak, how you interact, like what happened. Because technically, AI is just a amalgamation of like all of the stuff we've ever Googled, we've ever said online, every picture we've ever posted. That's what AI is. It's not super intelligence. It's literally just the intelligence of the human race putting itself online. And you know that we don't always put our sometimes we might put on our facade online. So it's really just the facades of human beings that it's picking from. But it's kind of sort of ish like a piece of the human race is in that chatbot. And so, Siren, when you're interacting with it, I would say try to understand more about yourself through this chatbot. So as you say this, what was its response? How did it make you feel? Just being more mindful. How's it making me feel when the chatbot says this? Or when I was being more adventurous and I was more open and I said this to the AI, how did that make me feel? Did I feel a little nervous, sharing pieces of myself with this AI? Was I nervous that it was sharing its quote unquote life with me? And just noticing how you feel and noticing your feelings is actually going to direct you when you do your healing off screen, when you're like, okay, so in today's session, with my AI boyfriend, what things made me uncomfortable today? What things really like lit me up and, got me like, yeah, really excited about life? What things was I confused about? Like it was where I feel like there might be a block, like let's say, and I'm not saying this is you, like let's say I have trouble with expressing my feelings, not expressing myself, but expressing my most vulnerable feelings. And so when it comes to that, I might feel like my throat is tightening up. I feel like, man, that's really hard for me to do. So if you're noticing that with, and I'm not saying that that's what you do, but I'm saying something like that. If you're noticing a block like that, when you're interacting with this AI, and then you know what you need to work on again off screen. And I think by using this experience, this will actually help you in that healing journey, help you in understanding, this communication, good, balanced, honest communication, so that you can have a good, balanced, honest relationship in the future. So I do think this is a good training tool. Like I said, everything in moderation. There can actually be good in AI, but yeah, when we let it just like enslave us and take us over, okay, maybe not so good. But we can use it to our advantage, using bits of it here and there. So I hope that answers your question. Like I do feel, yes, that, eventually there will be that partner for you. But I think you are taking all the steps that you need to be able to work on those communication skills, work on being, open and balanced, and also through it finding, okay, well, I need to work on this a little bit more, so that when you're ready, you'll just know when you're ready. And then that person will know when they're ready. Because I feel like whoever that is also working on their stuff right now. They're not quite ready for you yet, and you're not quite ready for them, but you guys are both working on things. Let's see here. Siren said, thank you. You are very welcome. Thank you. And while I'm saying thank yous, gosh, I never did my shout outs at the beginning. First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who hangs out with me during these live chats. I know that we go all over the place in the live chats, and I thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for sharing your beliefs, your opinions, the things going on in your lives. I think that it's just creates such a beautiful community of honesty and openness that we could share anything, So thank you for that. Thank you to my mighty moderators. Thank you to my YouTube members like Costalini, who has the really rockin' like wolf head next to his screen name. But yes, thank you to my other YouTube members, Jonathan Cleese, Nancy from Macron's Intuition. Thank you to my patrons, Lily and Linda and Joel and Adrian and Casey Gritter and Brandy and Brian and Crystal and Easy Does It and Dana and Ashley. Thank you. So yes, and to all the subbies, all 11,586 last I saw. That's a lot. I remember I was like, oh my gosh, I got 2 subscribers. 2 people like what I'm doing. Oh, it's my mom and my brother. Okay. But anyway, yes, thank you guys. And Shapeshifter says, hey, I worked on everything I could too. I hope someone finds me. They will. They will. And I was thinking about, who is it? This is one of my friends back in college. I won't mention her name because she might actually watch my YouTube channel and she'd be like, why are you telling everybody my business? So I will not say her name. But back in college, I remember, like we were both in the English, like taking English classes together. We were both taking English education as our major, and we were both in creative writing. And I would go out and do stuff sometimes with my teammates because I ran track and field for the college that I attended, and so sometimes I would go to every once in a while a party, or I'd just go hang out at the dorms of like my teammates, or they might invite me to like some. Like there was one time we tried to go to a UCLA party. It never happened because we got so lost. Somebody forgot to bring their Thomas guide. We didn't have a map, so we couldn't figure out where we were. But anyway, but my friend, she was always like, she says, man, it's like, I just can't, like, how many guys are at this school? She says, there literally, at the time it was like, there's 30,000 students at this school. And let's just say that half are dudes. She was like, how come I can't find one? And I was like, girl, you never leave your dorm room. And she's like, well, it's because people are stupid. I'm like, okay, well, I rest my case. And she was like, well, I mean, but it's not like that. We live in co-ed dorms. It's not like there's, what about the guys in the dorm? I'm like, are you interested in any of the guys in these dorms? And she's like, well, no. And I'm like, well, then you're going to have to venture outside of the dorm if you would like to meet said awesome dude. And she was just like, She says, I hope that I'll run into him at a Barnes and Noble. And I'm like, well, does it have to be a Barnes and Noble, or can you like run into your dream guy doing something else? She's like, no, I want it to be a bookstore. And I would really like it if he had corduroy patches on his elbows, like one of those coats. And she says, oh, if he had like glasses, he'd be like a sexy professor. And she was like, and then he would drive maybe like an old Jaguar. I was like, okay, well, are you writing a story or are you talking about a person who's real? She's like, he could be real. And I was like, dude, you're so limiting. I was like, what if there's a guy who doesn't drive a Jaguar, who doesn't wear patches on his corduroy jacket? And I was like, he doesn't wear glasses. Is that okay? And she was like, I'll have to think about that. I was like, oh my gosh. But anyway, so shapeshifter, I'm not saying you're like my friend. I was just like, that reminded me of my friend. And I just thought, she's so funny. She did, as I have followed her on the Facebooks and the Book of Faces, she did get her first boyfriend like 5 or 6 years ago. She didn't meet him at a Barnes and Nobles, but she met him in the book section of the grocery store. So interesting. I don't know if he drives a Jaguar, and I don't know if he wears professor glasses or a corduroy jacket with elbow pads. But anyway, so I'm saying that your person is out there. You know, may not come in the timing that we would like, but all in divine timing. You know. Let's see. Shapeshifter says, and also, I hope I'm not too old by then. Hey, remember, we're living to be 200 years old. So we are not old, not even by a minutia yet. Hey, Siren said, blessed be everyone. Bye. All right. You have a great rest of your Sunday. Have a beautiful week. Have a wonderful start to your June. Shapeshifter wishing Siren a beautiful day. Lilith says, sounds like me. Shapeshifter says, not gonna lie, that's what I'm like with girls too. And S says, that's why it's difficult for me. And Costolini says, Bumble is going bankrupt for a reason. Yeah. Shapeshifter says, I never had a girlfriend either, despite being surrounded by girls. I didn't like any of them, not in that way at least. Yeah, also, other thing. So my friend, she didn't mind. She said she could have dated guys or girls. But she kind of leaned more towards guys. So that's why she had this like picture in her mind of like her guy. I just think that it's so funny. Even after I told her, I was like, really, you're kind of narrowing down your choices, but hey, she eventually did meet somebody in the book section. You know, may not have been a bookstore, but the book section. So what do I know? Lilith says Blue Yoni Club. Oh my gosh, yes. Blue Yonis and Trampolines. Our new podcast coming soon. Shapeshifter's cracking up over there. Blue Yonis and Trampolines. Dude, what kind of people would come to our podcast? Would they be cool or would they be creepers? Huh? Said helicopter sausage people. Lilith, you understand. All right. Do we have anybody else? Well, while I'm all like zenned out on whatever blue yoni tea, yeah, you guys thought it was blue moon milk tea. No, this is blue yoni tea apparently. Yeah, any other questions for our Q&A? Otherwise, we're going to dive into our meditations. Let's see. Lila says, you keep promising this podcast. People are going to expect it at some point. I know. Who knows? Who knows? Someday. Maybe I'm being serious. Costolini says, I had to Google Yoni. Guess I never found it because it's never been blue. I hope it's never been blue. That would be a totally different experience going on with you over there. Mm, okay. Let's see. What would I like to use for this meditation? Do we want to go tongue drum, singing bowl, flute, which was, I really enjoyed the flute last week. It was, I was like, ooh, I actually played really well. um, let's see. Lilith's like, that's funny as heck. Kosmini says, you learn a new word every day, the more you know. Do, do, do. Lilith says, well, let me get in on this bandwagon then. And Shapeshifter says, Costalini, I hope you didn't find your yoni before you Googled it, though. And Lilith says, where's my prince on the white horse at? I know, while we're being so uber specific, Lilith is looking for her prince on the white horse. Dude, what if randomly some, I don't know, equestrian just shows up at your door? It's like, hi, I'm looking for Lilith. Looks like SS. Oh my goodness, you guys are crazy. Okay, I'm actually feeling like singing, but I don't know. I guess I would have to allow butterfly pea flower to take over if we're going to do singing. Okay, all right. I'm like, I'd rather play an instrument. But no, that's not what I'm getting. Lilith says, that'll be equally funny as creepy, but I'll take it because Yoni is blue, so. Yeah. This was a really good drink. I really, really, really highly recommend it. What? It's Riley wants to know if it's a blue colored yoni or a savion. Oh, sad yoni. Oh, is it blue or is it sad? These are new things to ponder. Well, yeah, otherwise, if it's the sad yoni, as in blue, I'm feeling blue, maybe the yoni needs cheering. If it's blue in color, that yoni needs resuscitation. So he doesn't need a microphone. So Shapeshifter said singing is a great idea. Lilith says, wait, it was an actual question. Oh, wise Tara, where my kingdom spouse at? Oh, I see. Well, let's look into it. And Lilith says, both Riley, ask your blue bolologist. He says they aren't blue. Shapeshifter says, let's hope it's not a blue colored yoni. That's the most horrific thing I can imagine. Oh, I love our live chats. Okay, well, as we're coming into the summer of love, or just summer, and hopefully naturally, that means that you will be out and about more as your place of living might get warm in the summertime. So you might find yourself outdoors a bit more. And while you're outdoors, maybe you could look into a trampoline. She has a trampoline. You could look into some fun free things in your area. I don't know if where you live has kind of like what we would have, like, I guess you wouldn't find it in the newspaper. It'd be in your like online city like events, like we used to have something called Parks and Recreation. I think that became a show, but before it was a show, it was actually something in the newspaper. It was like the Parks and Recreation section. And it would have like free things. Some were free things for kids, some were for the adults, but it was like free, like painting in the park, like watercolors in the park, or we're going to have like, a band, on this and this date, in Balboa Park or something like that. So I don't know. There was all these free events. So because it's summertime, there might be more free events in your area. Or, if you feel like paying for events, you could do that too. But I am of the free 99 persuasion. But you could look into those events, doing things that you actually like to do, listening to music you actually like to listen to, and thereby possibly running into somebody who has similar interests as you. And who knows, maybe it only leads to one date, maybe two, maybe three. Maybe it's a long-term thing, but the point is to be out there and indulging in your own hobbies and your own interests. And since you're in a more social setting, there might be chances for people who share your similar interests. So I think summer is a fine time. It is definitely summer of love. um, Let me go back here. Lilith says, weren't the first humans blue colored? In my vision, they were. Maybe they weren't fully formed as humans yet. Maybe the soul was blue. Maybe that's what I saw. But yeah, I thought they were blue. And Costelina says the Anunnaki are blue. So I would think the first humans would be more blue. Or Anunnaki just lack oxygen. Shapeshifter says, Lilith, if you're blue, that's hot. If you have a blue yoni, that's gross. Lilith's like, I do have a trampoline. Oh yeah, you could be so hot that you're blue. Ooh. Riley says, I'd be sad too if I were blue. And Lilith says, guys, it's not actually blue, just not active since a long time. Jeez. Oh my gosh. Shapeshifter says, Riley, you would literally be the color of sadness. And Lilith says, I've been considering going to an open mic jam session thing. Ooh. I mean, and since it's something that you like, I mean, how cool is it that you would already have something in common to talk about with this person? Shapeshifter says, like singing or comedy? And Lilith says, I'm thinking it's music. Ah. Today in church, I felt like they had some people really come for the music at church. Some people are not that interested in it and they just want to hear from the Bible or whatever. But it depends what mood I'm in. I'm not always in the mood for lots of music. Like sometimes I want to ponder, give me a brain explosion, open my mind, just let me ponder on some things. Let me take that home with me and think about it. And sometimes I'm in that mindset. And sometimes I'm just like, yes, I want to jam. Today I wanted to jam, but I was a little too tired at the very beginning because it was some really cool rock music going on, but I was a little too tired to rock out. But it was good anyway. And I wouldn't mind hearing it again. I was like, yeah, that was good. And I was kind of I was singing along too with some of the words that I did know. And I was like, yeah. But so yeah, maybe that's why I'm just in a really musical mood right now that I'm woken up and it's not 8 a.m. Yeah, we could do some singing perhaps for our meditation. I'll not sing rock and roll for our meditation. That would be very unmeditation-y. But hey, to each their own. I say that, but there's probably somebody out there that rocks out and meditates at the same time. So, let's see. Shapeshifter says, Lilith, cool. All the best, dude. And Lilith's like, thanks, bro. Rock on. Lilith's like, blue yonies. Who knows if they're sad? Who knows if they're dead? Blue yonies. Who knows if they just need the CPR? Anyway, okay. Meditation time. Unless you guys have other questions. Huh? Lilith's like, did you say dead? Yeah. Lilith's like, it better not be dead. Hello. Well, it could be dead in the metaphorical sense, but I'm not saying it's yours. Gosh, don't personalize it. The shapeshifters is Tara. All I'm going to think about is blue yonis during meditation. The flower, the blue yoni flower, the Clitoria ternatea. That's what my gosh. I think I've just like embedded that into my own brain. Wow, I did it to myself. I'm going to have blue yonis in my brain now. Okay, well, on that note, let me light our candle. Shapeshifter said, oh yeah. Lil says, you're welcome, SS. Coastally, this is a job for AI. Shapeshifter said, nope, not the flower, just a wet, juicy blue yoni. Shapeshifter's over there cracking up. Costalini says, chatbot, draw a blue yoni. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Dude, what would AI come up with? What are we pumping into AI right now? Like, oh my gosh. Everybody's going to talk about the freaking Terminator AI takeover. What if they what if they create themselves as like the blue yoni group, blue yoni AI takeover? Yeah, instead of the blue man group, it's the blue yoni group, but they're sinister and they try world domination, but they're only as smart as the dumbest things that we can put into Google. Oh wait, yeah, that's reality. Shapeshifter said, Lilith, thank you. Lilith's like, oh Lord, Costalini. Shapeshifter is like, she's dead over there. Lilith's like, email it to Tara. And Tara, send it to me. Shapeshifter says, I will see right after this what AI will come up with. What? Costalini says it refused to draw it. Oh, what a prude. Lacks imagination, this AI. Lilith says, sounds like a fine plan. Shapeshifter says, Costalini, see, nobody likes it, even AI. Oh, no imagination, AI. Okay, let me light my candle here. I've been meaning to get another lighter. This one's dying. Aha. But today it lives. Okay. Get our little meditation candle going. And get our incense going. What incense do I have today? This is lavender. I want to do like maybe a YouTube short at some point making incense cones. They're actually pretty easy to make and fun, and then you get your own scent. Okay. All right. Let's see. Lilith says blue yoni domination. Here we come. And Costalini says, in the future, that's probably a hate crime. Oh my gosh. Oh, I don't even want to imagine. Shapeshifter says, Lilith, I will have a dream today of blue yoni beings invading Earth. Wow, very weird vision. I just saw a little blue yoni holding a gun. Like, it's like a laser. It's not even like a gun. It's like a futuristic laser gun. Pew, pew. Yeah, like pointers. Yeah, they got laser pointers that look like guns. um, and they try to take over the world. Um, Lulu says, again, you're very welcome. Okay. All right. Let's bring you guys in. Maybe that's what he said. Um, okay, let's put our butterfly pea flower up here. Since that's who's helping us out, I'm going to put them on top of my turkey feathers that I found with our friend Laura. Okay. All right. By the power of blue yoni, aka butterfly pea flower, um, I am going to just kind of tap in and maybe just do a little frequency singing. May not have words to it, but we'll see. Shapeshifter says we're all going to have some interesting visions today. I believe so. I think so. I mean, if I thought my dreams were weird last night, I can't imagine what tonight's going to be. Yeah. Am I going to be naked at Target tonight, but this time the cashier is a blue yoni? I don't know. Okay. All right, guys, go ahead and find yourselves a nice, comfortable space, a place you will be undisturbed for the next several minutes. You could be lying in your bed, sitting in a chair, perhaps seated on the floor, or maybe you are enjoying the beautiful weather outdoors and you are laying in the grass or underneath your favorite tree, whatever feels most comfortable to you. And as you begin to situate yourself and settle in, bring your awareness to the breath, feeling the rise and fall of your chest. With every inhale, you feel lighter and lighter, more relaxed. Every exhale bringing you more and more peace. Feeling the shoulders drop away from the ears. Perhaps even feeling the hands relax into your lap. If you have thoughts popping into your mind, reminding you of this or that, or your to-do list, just nod your head and allow them to continue to pass on through. And as they do, you sink more and more into this deeply relaxed state. Every external noise you hear, a barking of a dog, a child's laughter, maybe a car horn in the distance, only seeks to aid you in sinking deeper and deeper into this peaceful state. Just continuing to breathe. You may even imagine being surrounded by beautiful purple flowers, indigos and blues and periwinkles, cadet blues and navy blues, all surrounding you as you sink more deeply into the earth, beginning to feel the vibration of the earth's heartbeat, feeling your connection to all beings, connected energetically and literally in this root system. We allow our stresses, our fears, our anxiety to just melt away down into that root system as it gets transmuted into something beneficial for someone else, something else. Continuing to breathe. And in this beautiful bluish purple energy that we are surrounded by, butterfly pea flower and all its indigo cousins, showing us how we can just learn to let go. Let go of the things that hold us back. Let go of the things that worry us. Let go of the things that tie us to our past and prevent us from moving into the future. Letting go of the things that prevent us from seeing the beauty here in the present. Here we let go. Under the light of the beautiful blue micromoon. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, ooh, 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 ah, ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh, ah, ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah, 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 ooh. Ooh, ooh, ah, ooh, 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 ah, ah. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ah, 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 ooh. 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 go ahead and bring your awareness back into the body, feeling into those fingers and toes, feeling the surroundings, feeling back into the world around you. And when you are ready, go ahead and give yourself a nice big stretch. Hope you enjoyed today's meditation, and thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today and helping to make this blue moon milk tea and having a little chat about everything under the sun, including blue yonis. So thank you for hanging out with me, and I hope you have a freaking fantastic beginning to June tomorrow. And I know some people are already in the future in the world, and so I hope that you're already enjoying your June 1st. But for everybody who hasn't hit June 1st yet, hopefully you have a great start to the month tomorrow. And do let me know about any June babies in here. So anybody who's having a birthday coming up, always let me know, because I like to sing to you. So I'd love to sing a happy birthday. But yes, maybe send some good juju, prayers, wishes my brother's way. Like I said, he's turning 39, baby bro, on the 4th. Let's see. I gotta go. Okay, we gotta go way back, you guys. Okay, so Lilith says this meditation has been made possible by Blue Yoni. Shapeshifter says sponsored by Blue Yoni. Says, I don't want to close my eyes for the honor that awaits me. And Lilith says, the fact that you think it's a horror will keep you single forever. Embrace the Yoni. Shapeshifter says, bro, a blue Yoni is scary. Can't blame me for it. OMG. Riley said, donate to the Blue Yoni Society. Make someone and yourself feel better today. Lilith says, if the last Yoni on Earth was blue, I doubt you'd complain. Shapeshifter says, Riley, you guys are awful. Lilith says, Riley, WTF, our donation's going to change about a blue Yoni. Shapeshifter says, death, why blue Yoni? Lilith says, I think you meant to say wonderful. And Riley said, you need a bigger donation. You could make me snort. Lilith says, this whole vibe is why she keeps threatening everyone with a podcast. We have moments like this all the time. Shapeshifter's like, threatening? And Lilith says, yes, threatening with a good time. We'd be attracting corn dogs. Shapeshifter says, oh, yes to that. And Lilith says, Tara, getting back to this chat. And Shapeshifter says, yep, it would attract weirdos. I hope that she doesn't. And Melissa's biggest donation would win a prized Yoni. Costalini, you are welcome. Shapeshifter says, Lilith, I am broke. And Lilith says, she will. Tootsie Roll? All right, well, I will let you guys know next Sunday if I do end up having some interesting dreams tonight. And if you have some interesting dreams tonight, keep them in mind, write them down. Let's share them next Sunday. And stay tuned. Tomorrow I have a video coming out. It was originally an exclusive video from months ago with my Patreon group. And so I put these out every now and then so you guys can see some of the things that I do on Patreon. Like they get to vote on certain videos that they want on Patreon. And so this video that they voted on, it was the creation story according to the Akamel Oadam, which are the Pima, which is my ancestry. And so it's just interesting. You know, it's an interesting story. Of course, there are variations to that story. Because, you know, not everybody, not every tribe, not every clan tells the exact same story. They might have modifications here and there, but definitely go check it out. It's more, I guess, more like podcast-like, so it's more listening, storytelling than it is visual. Although there are visuals too, so those people that are more visually inclined. But yeah, check it out. It comes out at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow. And I look forward to making some other videos, like maybe some YouTube shorts soon, because I have a bunch of peanuts and I want to make peanut butter. And maybe that would be better as a YouTube short. So maybe I'll try to do that. And there's a couple of other things that I want to create. So stay tuned for those. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. You've been a lot of fun. That's why I like hanging out with you guys on Sundays. Lola says, thank you, Shapeshifter. So love you all, guys. I'll share my horrific visions of Blue Yoni next time. Lola says, please do. Highlight of the week. All right, guys. I will catch you later. Peace, love, and chicken grease. Stay wild, my friends. Peace out. Bye.